Okay. Good evening.
Your repurposed freighter drifts through space. As you stare out at the star-flecked void, another ship comes in. Wait, is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign. Oh. Did we? That's cool. I can pivot. The smell of smoke curdles in your nostrils. Hold up, I thought we were prepping for a zombie apocalypse campaign. Alright, here's what we're doing. It's the year 3700. Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking with them all forms of advanced technology. Earth survivors scrape by with historic tools as weird phenomena plague abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and the dead rising from their graves. And amidst the chaos, 3 strangers will meet in a dim bar. A veteran zombie slayer, a disgraced general out for revenge, and a space mercenary sent to investigate the power plants. Now describe your characters. How did you do that? I have the right tools for the job.
Alrighty.
A story once spoken is ageless. The dungeon imagined.
Hey, hey, hey.
And the curious are the ones most.
What's up, Lando?
The
I got
tree
you at
that
the end.
Endures has to bend. From stillness,
Yep.
the mad mage is stirring.
Cool drama. What's
From
up? I'm
countless
just
spaces, the
I'm
castle
waiting on.
takes shape.
Ed's not on yet.
Zagged
Neither.
will
I talked
test the enduring.
to Ed via Discord a little while
Those
ago,
unlucky
and Anna's not on it
will
either.
never escape.
So, just waiting it out. You're good. Cool, man. Thank you. What's up, man? Oh, that stinks. 2 weeks. Wow. Hey, long shot. Where am I heading next? Hey, Chris. Let me see here. Man, that's a long time. Starting to give away, just so I don't forget, it's a, we're giving away 2 $25 gift certificates to Troller Games. Yes. short. Hey, Patrick. Lord Forth, Wayne, and we're Wayne. Hannah.
Hello.
I know Ed got confirmation, so he'll be on. So.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Keeping things open just to make sure. Everyone's enjoyed their weekend.
I had to pop over to Orange County because my main computer, my CPU cooler went out, so I had to go and buy a new one and rebuild it.
Oh my gosh! So you spent the whole weekend doing that almost, huh?
No, it took like five hours to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have to put it on the kitchen table and switch it all
Cooler
out.
went out. The cooling unit?
Yeah, the pumping the thingy was something in there that didn't go well.
Oh, that stinks.
It was under warranty, so
Oh, good.
I got a new one, so it's no biggie.
Did you do
But
a local company at least with your stuff, or?
No, it's a micro center, so
Oh,
it's
okay. Yeah, I know.
yeah. They're like they have like 30 stores or 20 or something.
There's
or
one.
15
There's
or
one.
whatever.
There's one near Philly.
Yeah, I think most big city regions or metro areas have one.
In fact, I think Alex Antiquarius worked there back in the day.
They're really good stores, so they have stuff. So
yeah,
I decided to buy it there, so it was good. So yeah, so I got a new one. It was a few months from being out of warranty, but yeah, so it was good.
Angela was fun. I'm assuming North Texas was fun, right? Fun times there. It's good to hear.
Oh, it's North Texas.
North Texas just finished up, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that my CPU went up to like 75, 80 degrees, and then it just shut down yesterday. So that's when I realized that something is wrong. So I figured out that it must be the CPU cooler and stuff. So I dismantled it and got it in, and now it's down to it's 20. It started 26, now it's 39 degrees, and it's steady there.
Well,
so,
that's good, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that happens. Yeah.
My health issues are all clear. I'm going to try and do a lot more cons next year, so North Texas will be a target one. It's just a matter of, right place, right time at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an AIO water cooler. Yep. I got a chance to blow out all the dust that has been in there too, so.
Oh, it's good to hear. One of the best. A lot of people like it.
Yeah, it's on my to visit list. Yeah.
And I will come live here, and we'll. I mean, Ed's always right on time, so it's we're not even at the 7 o'clock mark. Good evening, everyone.
Hello. Yeah, we can babble a bit.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yes, we can babble a bit. Absolutely, we'll do that. So we got myself and Anna tonight, as usual, with Ed coming on, and we're gonna be doing a lot of listening. I think. While we have everyone on here, just a quick remember: this Wednesday, no Legends of the Lore this week. I am. Here comes Ed. I am unavailable, unfortunately. Here comes Ed, and then I'll say this multiple times, but we got. I have a session 0 tomorrow night at 9 p.m. EDT. So we got Rogue Chick and Bellis Detley on, so that'll be tomorrow night for the game on Saturday.
Hello. Oh,
Ed!
in a groove here. So yep.
Ed, what's
Awesome.
going on, man? How are you?
Bits of me still function, Jay.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Yeah, well, that's you have more bits functioning than I do right now. I'm just kidding.
Now, Ed,
really?
Yes.
Ed, we just have to figure out what are the important bits. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. You know how that is. So.
No, Jay,
You got a Two Drink Minimum shirt on too, Ed?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
2 drink minimum.
Yeah,
All right.
I should have mine too. Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
We'll wait. We'll watch.
Good. So I think Eric Boyd gave this idea, and I'm like, all right. So Anna and I are just going to listen to Ed talk.
Yeah. So what is the topic for tonight? I read it, but yeah.
The topic is, and I'll throw this up on the screen over here on the side here, and the topic is kind of There Be Dragons, introducing elements beyond the campaign focus.
Oh, sounds very interesting. Yep.
Throwing wrenches in, I guess, making some changing things up, adding some flavor to it. I think yeah.
It sounds like cool world building to me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Ed's even tongue-tied a little bit on that one. So, but I imagine we'll take a lot of questions too and have some fun with that. Hey, Rick, good to see you as well. At the end, Rick's Greyhawk Magic Items is live on Kickstarter, not Kickstarter, on Drive-Thru. So.
Oh, great.
Yep, absolutely. So.
Mm-hmm.
We will see Ed in less than a month too for my 24-hour stream.
Yes, I have the
July 5th.
Yeah,
yes.
right, marked right there.
The 6 p.m. slot coming in to assist the group. Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah. DM's Guild. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, Heather, Violence. Good to see you. Woo! We got the legendary Ed Greenwood on. So sit back. The giveaway's already set to $25 gift certificates to Troll Lord Games. Vile, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. We're going to talk about theoretical campaign development, I think, tonight on some tricks of the trade. Vile said hi to you, Ed. There you go. And so, did you send me a link in Discord? Send me, Dewey, I got it. So for me, I like to keep things fresh, and I like to really throw a wrench in there sometimes and make some changes. But as far as getting away from the campaign focus, that's challenging sometimes. It's hard. It's hard to that end goal. You want to have an end goal, or you want to have something. So, Ed, how about you? How do you handle that?
Well, first I put lotion on my hand.
Then
I put the gloves on.
There it gets the hose.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bank robbing mask.
Yeah.
No, to be serious, there's two things here. There's how do you make your world seem larger than what you're focusing on?
That's good
in
point.
The campaign.
Yes.
So that your players never get the feeling that they are the prime movers in the setting, that it's a lifeless backdrop with all the lights off and dust settling on the eyeballs of the NPCs as everybody's in a tableau. And then the player characters walk on and everybody walks and talks and the lights come on and they walk off and everything freezes again. You want to avoid that feeling at all costs. So there's a wider world alive out there.
Yep.
And then there's okay, I need to build in subplots.
Curtis.
Because my player characters are killing off my initial villains. They're solving the initial problems. They are starting to get some of the things they want to get as characters in the world. Like, hey, now I'm rich. Now I own a castle. And it seems very churlish of me as a game master to immediately attack their castle. Now that you own something, I'll attack it. I mean, how would you feel if you finally buy the house of your dreams and move out of an apartment, and some asshole next door attacks your house. You're going to be really angry, and that works like the first time. But if it's the devastation of the third house and the third castle, it's going to be, this dungeon master is out to get me. I don't want to play at his table anymore. He's an a-hole and he's after me. And you don't want that. You want the world to have, yeah, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
But I mean, so there's those two things. Use the wider world to build stuff continually into the campaign, like what we would call subplots.
Right.
So imagine, and I realize the cool kids these days are too young to remember the Foresight saga, Upstairs, Downstairs, all these long running series that did the generations of a family living out their lives as centuries pass. But the big thing about series like that, and it's coming back now because
Whoop.
Oh, I think we lost.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
He just had a little glitch. You just had a
Okay.
little Zoom glitch. It's all right.
Okay.
Got it.
So manga have like 135 volume stories and they keep going. So you have the need to introduce subplots.
Yep.
To keep things alive, and again, that comes from the world outside the initial campaign focus. So now I've defined the two bits of the thing that Eric asked about, and I'll shut up now.
No, but I think it's good because and I want to introduce one continuum that I think that you just hinted really well at when it comes to that you can use as a DM when you run, like especially when you run sandboxy campaign, and that is the meaning. First of all, yeah, you need the depth, and that gives you a chance because when the characters are really low level, you want a cool world with a lot of awesome stuff everywhere that the players they can interact with or they can avoid and so on and so forth. But then you need a good explanation. Why the heck is the villain just not crushing them? Because the major villain, because the villains don't even care. They're not on their radar. They're so insignificant. They don't even know about them. They don't spend resources on them. But then as they level up and become more of a nuisance, they start making a presence. That's when you can have villains starting to pay attention and realize we should devote resources. And then when the characters become higher level and become players in their own right, political or power players in the world, that's when you can swing down the big hammer when the major villains realize they have competition. That's when you can hit. And so you can use that to your advantage, both for giving logical reasons why the players' characters can go around causing mischief or sneak around, and then also why they're being hit. But it needs to be logical from a world perspective, meaning villains might be busy with other things and all of a sudden they are not, or when the players hit something critical and kill a sub-villain, loot an important place, just hang out, cause mischief or whatever it is, then you can hit. But there should be time in between, not right away. It should be logical amount of time for the villain or the faction to react and plan, plot, and then execute, so to speak.
And there's other ways too, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of other ways. By the way, I want to share this. Getting off top, not that much off, just to prove to everyone that I'm not a barbarian. I have three. I was like, how many Forgotten Realms box sets do I have? I have 5. I brought 3 of them with me down.
Box sets, I think I only have 2, maybe 3.
Right, so there we go. So I got the original. I got the original campaign set, right?
I have the original. I have Mensa Barons and
I don't count Mensa Barons.
It has a Forgotten Realms logo on it. Yeah.
Hey,
I worked on that.
Yeah.
I ruined the bedspread doing the map.
Spellbound.
Yes. Oh, I don't have that one. No.
Yeah. The Unapproachable East, right? It says in here in the back.
Oh.
So yeah. All right. And then lastly, one, and then I have a Myth Drowner one, I think too. And this one, City of Splendors. This one's actually 2nd edition.
Yeah,
I have that one. Yep.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, so just to show that I do have
That was
some
a
for.
water. There's a water deep one I have too.
Yeah.
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 Okay. That's one of the water deep ones. The other one,
Yeah.
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 I have the other one there. Yeah.
That's Sean Connery on the Kai Rin.
Oh.
Hey, like I said, Mel Gibson's on the cover of Bastion of Faith, so
Yeah.
we've done it. So we can go Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms all over some ideas and examples for all of us. Just note, it's no big deal. It's cool actually, and yeah, I bought it. I think that's from '85. I bought it when it first came out because I was interested in seeing the direction and stuff. But now, after 45 years, still running Greyhawk.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah, it's okay. At my workplace, we do these professional development days. I work in a public library, and of course, when you do these professional development days, the staff has to report on stuff they did. So somebody attended one of our library conventions, and they did a reader's advisory thing, where if you work in a public library and somebody says, I've read all the Stephen Kings, what have you got that's like, that sort of stuff. And he said, okay, well, first there was a keynote speaker, and I had to keep my mouth shut because in 1986, I was that keynote speaker. And I realized as he was saying it, oh, the younger members of our staff weren't born then.
Right.
I better keep my mouth shut because
I
they're going
know.
to feel terrible if I pipe up now. Oh yeah, So yeah, that is the thing. Time passes, but when it's role playing games and storytelling, the nothing really changes. The tropes, the basic needs of entertaining people around your gaming table and having them tell the story with you, they don't change.
Right.
Just styles do, fads and fashions do. But the basic needs don't change. And what we're talking about tonight is one of them. It's how to make the wider world be there without being in the hairline focus right now.
It's a good point. And I think we all have some little different ways of going about it. Everyone knows I don't use the right side of the Greyhawk map, which is kind of a joke, right? Because here and there, you get over there. But the left side of the map is big enough, right? And I've expanded. We got adventuring in Shieldlands and Greyhawk City and Harby and Altamira and Narwhal and the Vesvi. So, we're all over the place, but it's still limited, and it's multiple adventuring groups. And I think, the way I do it is change it up a little bit with a little different focus. It's the same campaign, the Order of Yulek campaign, but hey, we're running adventures with the Narwhal Headhunters now. It really doesn't have much to do with the Order of Yulek, but it's what's going on in another place.
Yeah.
And there's some characters that are crossing over. There's some characters that have moved from Greyhawk City to Narwhal, and there's some characters. There's a Winchester in Narwhal. There you go. Not Fritz there, Curtis, but there's at least one there.
I get the feeling there's a Winchester everywhere.
There is.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Winchesters are my Dunedain in Greyhawk. So, and then my guys bust my stones when I say that. But yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just appreciate our play in the 2-drink minimum that eventually I will know my way around the Lort Mills.
You will. You'll know your way on the Lort Mills. Although we have gone to some, although you got waylaid Gary Kine in Altamira, which is awesome. So, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Little Bird tells me that, courtesy of the Adventurers League, there'll be a lot more Greyhawk in your future.
I've heard rumors about that too. Yep.
Yeah. A little bird, but not the little bird, not the.
No, not the little
yes,
bird.
yes, a little, yes.
A little bird.
Some
I have
other
to be
stuff
careful
coming up.
these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people ask this question, and it came up another. We were talking somewhere. What's the for Forgotten Realms? What's the coolest place to start and play? And a lot of people said the Dale Lands.
Yeah, that depends entirely on what you want to do in your campaign.
Okay. Oh, Ed locked again. Oh, he locked a long time this time.
We'll see.
Dun dun dun. Ed Zoom lock. Yeah. Let me send him a message. He may need to reboot that.
It might be, yeah, well, that's the thing. We have internet issues across the continent.
Yeah. 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 Here we go.
Everything went down.
Yeah, that's yeah. Okay,
There
I
you
sent
go.
you a message on Discord. Ignore it. Yeah, yeah. You got Zoom locked.
Okay.
So yes, you were saying last we heard was it depends on what you're looking for, right? So,
Yeah. And okay, so what depends what you're looking for. If you want urban adventures, go to Waterdeep. It's fully detailed, but it's starting at the top. It's the New York, Rome, London of the world. You are jumping in with the big leagues. If you want to be adventurers and get your sea legs under you and have small adventures to start with, the Dale Lands is great for that, almost as if someone designed it that. So yeah, it is a great place to start. I know it is because I've started umpteen library campaigns there. Because I work in public libraries. So one of the things that became trendy when I was starting work, was D&D, because the public libraries have this perennial problem of not being able to offer teenagers what they want. And there's this horrible thing where, what do you offer teenagers? Well, good grooming for teenagers. You can imagine how many people show up to that.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. And then there's the things we had to show up for, like if you want to be a babysitter, here's first aid for babysitters. So useful, necessary, but not thrilling. And then you say, hey, how about that dangerous satanic game?
Yeah. Back then,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And guess what? They flocked to the library. They were elbowing each other to sign up. And the few parents who came along because dangerous satanic game, because they wanted to keep a weather eye on what their kids were doing, just couldn't believe it. They're standing there with their mouths open because they've never seen their sullen teenager who is at the age of monosyllabic replies. And so what happened at camp? Not much. Did you have
Yep.
fun? Oh yeah, a lot. Are you going to tell me about it? No, it's none of your business. You know,
Yep.
that sort of stuff. They were used to that from their teenagers, and all of a sudden they'd never seen their teenagers excited, interested
And
in
doing
something.
math and
Doing math.
planning ahead and collaborating with others, and yep.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So, I have I think it's the original Dale Lands trilogy, right? Isn't Randall Morton's the bad guy? Is that correct?
No. Poor
No.
Randall Morton is trying to keep his Dale, and the Zents are trying to take it
Got
from
it.
him.
Okay. Okay. I thought though he was underhanded still. No, am I wrong?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
he is. He's
Okay.
like Robin Hood, you know, in the Merry Men. He has to live rough in the wilds.
He's
and
a
so
good guy. Okay.
Yeah. But he just can't go toe to toe with these guys, which is why you need to help. You player characters
Okay.
need to get in there.
That's that makes total sense. So give me Ed, think about something here. So you ran this multiple times at the library, you said, right? You run that in the Dale Lands multiple times?
Yeah, not not those modules. Those were written later.
Right. Oh, okay.
No, I was running you go through the haunted halls of Evening Star.
Yep.
Which is, and then there are Underdark. Castle Grimstead in the is a way into the Underdark that the Drow are using as a trade route, and it goes straight to a subterranean lake, and you have to decide, are we going to get in a boat and go across the lake? And of course, there are Drow everywhere trying to kill you because, hey, you're not supposed to be down here unless you're traders, as in, you know, trading with us.
Right.
You're not even supposed to know about this. You have to be eliminated. So there was all of that going on. But yeah, the nice thing about the Dales is I can tailor the events to my players.
Small or
So
large.
yeah, and not just that, what they like or dislike. If they don't want violence, and I mean, I had young children of both genders who were frankly scared of violence. They didn't want that,
Okay.
but they wanted intrigue. So there are Zent spies everywhere. Hillsfar's put sending spies in. Sembia's trying to buy up everything. Cormyr has its implanted spies because they want to make sure that they don't suddenly have Sembia or Zental Keep on their flank. They need the Dales as a buffer. And that brings up a wider thing for this, the why you use the wider world. In many cases, the wider world is the explanation for why this or that villain hasn't done something in the past. And so your player characters are on the spot when something interesting happens geopolitically. The answer is deterrent. The reason they didn't do this or that before is because this other uh, faction or power or place is in the way as a deterrent. And you, as the adventurers, are upsetting the apple cart. You are blundering about because you don't know any better, um, and you are setting people at each other's throats that who had been carefully holding back because they were keeping their powder dry for later, and then you blunder into it, and it's like, okay, it's on, boys. You know,
Okay. So, as an example on that, it sounds like before the modules are out, you ran this multiple times, and everywhere it was never the same.
that's right. Yeah. Um.
Maybe the end
I
goal was the same, but getting there was different.
Well, no. Here's the
Yep.
thing. You had Mistranner on your flank, and you daren't go there at a low level because it's demons and devils,
Right.
and they can summon in that edition of the game. They can freely
In
summon.
multiples.
Yeah, so you're doomed. You have to learn how to run real fast. Um, and then you realize, oh, that's why nobody has like conquered it because of this. And if anybody gets it, it's going to be a gold rush. I mean, there are going to be people coming from Sembia, going to be people coming from Zental Keep. It's going to be a literal gold rush. But in the meantime, you have all of this little stuff, and you're making alliances in Cormyr because Cormyr has these spies embedded. And the problem with being an embedded spy is you're fairly sure the Zentrum know who you are. So if you do anything, you're just going to get killed. So why don't you get these stupid adventures? I mean these and get them to do
Yeah.
stuff for you. And then you pay them and everybody's fine and it's plausible deniability. And like Pontius Pilate, you wipe your hands clean, said I had nothing to do with that. But the player characters, you're goading them into, why didn't you just go and do this? Knowing that will upset the apple cart and get things really churning, and you didn't do any of it. You didn't have any part in it. It's nothing to do with you. You're innocent. You have a cast iron alibi. You were in bed with the ambassador's wife, and they all know it. So you can't, you can't be blamed for something. And I had that sort of stuff going on all the time, and it got so my players would not take anybody at all at face value
Because
because
they get paranoid.
yeah, they'd think that everybody in the Dales is running a scam or using them, exploiting them, or you're going to be the fall guy. And of course, the answer to that is yes. Everybody they ran into was running a scam. And when they complained about it, I said, well, you just have to move in the better circles. As long as you guys are dealing with the low lives, you're going to get this over and over again. And they go, but those weren't low lives. Those are the rulers of the Dales. And I said, like I said, the low lives. So you're teaching them not to trust real world politicians either. You see what I mean? They're getting the full education on, oh, so everybody's got ulterior motives. Hello, welcome to the real world. And then therefore they're learning what is valuable in the Dales and how they can fit in and how they can offer somebody something. Again, the wider world is taking a hand because then you realize, oh, so I bet you Hillsfar has always wanted control of this area. Why don't we offer to like represent their interests here? And then they don't have to fight the Zants openly. We'll just be continually in their way. And then the guy from Hillsfar says, ooh, this is my chance to get them to kill off so and so or set fire to this stuff that I don't dare do for fear of having 15 res wizards on my behind the next minute. But if these guys do it, hey, it was nothing to do with me. I was down in Sembia trying to negotiate a treaty.
Mm-hmm.
You
It,
see what I mean?
yeah, it's so funny. The more paranoid players, won't mention names, always say to the people trying to hire them to go on a mission, well, why don't you just do it yourself?
Ah.
That's why I always do like these intermediaries, the Bounty Hunters Guild or a consortium of someone, and there's just a courier. So they're not meeting these people face to face, so they can't ask that stupid question every time. So get it all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and
yeah,
and the
Yeah.
answers are fun.
yeah. That's so true. Yeah, what
And
you gonna say?
I think it's, yeah, I was going to say that there are many different areas of conflict, meaning there are
Yeah,
different things you can strive for, meaning there are different types of resources that you can squabble over or whatever, meaning in an agrarian fantasy medieval type economy, land is an obvious one because land produces stuff, meaning land you use that to survive and to defend yourself and gather resources from. So land is an obvious one. To hold land is powerful in its own right, so to speak. So that's one. Another obvious one that is often overlooked is population, where there's no machinery, no automation. Having bodies that can able to work for you is another huge asset that needs to be protected, exploited, killed if it's not using your resources and so on and so forth. And you can scare labor away from your enemy towards you and so on and so forth. So there's many different dimension to what you can do with labor as a resource, so to speak. So various powers work with that thing, and then you have other knowledge is a resource, meaning knowledge about magic, the knowledge about geography, knowledge about religion, who the gods favor, whatever, so to speak, and
yeah.
that's another one. And then we have rare resources like artifacts and rare like other resources like that are almost unique or very rare, like rare magic. If you have like your rule system might have components that are used rare, like monster leftovers or a dragon skin or that rare mineral that only exists in that deep down in that mine, etc., so to speak, that are used. So all of these are things that you can squabble over. Time is another resource that might be that adventurers might be hired or discouraged or thrown into the loop to speed things up or slow things down, so to speak, to happen. So these are all uh, dimensions that you as a DM can play with. And a mission can be upfront. Someone can ask and say, "Oh, I'll pay you 1,000 gold to do this or prevent X or Y." But it can also be completely random. The players might appear random. The players be caught up in something. They might work on something that is in fact a scheme done in order to prevent someone else from doing something, and they were hired to do this little thing that is in fact preventing a bigger villain from getting access to it. So then they pissed off a much bigger villain that was not part of the bargain or whatever. So you can double twist a lot of things, so to speak. And
Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah, there's a very interesting thing. I don't know what American school kids get taught in school these days because I'm not American, you know. But um, there is a war game from Columbia Games, a very old one, and a
Yeah.
very simple war game using. It used to have wooden blocks that you turned for you. The block had 3 or 4 gold pips on it, And as the army got damaged, you turned it from 3 to 2 to 1. Okay, now they're plastic. But it was during the War of 1812, the war between Canada and the United States. And very simply, in that war, if winter comes and you have fall and winter turns, if you're in the opposing guy's country, your unit ceases to exist
Yep.
because it can't feed itself. And there are cases of, because at the time of the War of 1812, the United States of America did not have a standing army. So they had to go to Congress for funding and support. Because, if you're going to war representing your country, it'd be really nice if your country knew about it and stood behind you.
Yeah, and in the long run too, so to speak.
So they had to ask permission and for funding. And it was like, oh, okay. They wouldn't come and ask until the harvest was in. Because if the harvest is not in, no young men will come because they can't leave the farm until the harvest is in.
And if you're not back home to plant next year, there will be no harvest next year.
There will be no harvest, and everybody dies and starves. And I put this sort of stuff into the realms. I put it in where the Zents kept attacking, and they ended up on a losing end of one of the things. It just didn't go as well as they wanted it to, and they ended up having a nice little diplomatic meeting with Cormier's representative, the Rowan Mantles, and she said flatly to them, if you pull this stunt again, we will band together, and whatever the cost is in lives, we will take you down. Because you are starving Dales out of existence because you burned their granaries, you took their food, winter's coming. We're going to feed them out of our stores this year. But if you pull this again, then the cost of taking Zental Keep down and obliterating it will be worth it. You will have made it worthwhile financially for us to take you down, and we'll do it. And I role played that in the game, and my players were like, holy crap. And this is this, you see, Cormier deliberately chose this nice, pretty, gently spoken lady as their ambassador to deliver this blunt message. And although she didn't use many obscenities, she said it that plainly.
Okay.
And of course, standing behind her were a whole bunch of war wizards. So the Zentrim who was attending, he could see, I can't use magic on her right now. I can't humble her with magic or try and control her or just blow her away because they outnumber me. Deliberately, they were outnumbering him. And it was like my player characters were vastly impressed by that scene, that confrontation, and remembered it. And it led to a thing that was very like, I don't know if any of you watching this have seen, and I don't want to spoiler it too much, but there is a Marvel movie called Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And at one point, a great fun movie. And at one point, one character is very angry that he's there at all. And he has to explain to that character why he's there, instead of that character getting to be Ant-Man. And he said, because I'm expendable, that's why. That's why I'm here. I'm expendable. And that's the very thing, if you can manage to put that into your campaigns, why are your player characters getting a chance to do this and that? Why are they being allowed, like I had in the Realms, you have to have a charter to be adventurers, because they don't want lawless freebooters belting all over the countryside.
That's an interesting concept. The entire Forgotten Realms.
Yeah. I want it. Well, you see, it gives the authorities a little bit of control, because at the beginning you can have your charter, but you have to fulfill this mission for us. So it gives them their first adventure.
I don't feel
it's
bad
not
now.
Where will we go? When we leave the tavern, it's like, no, you have an assignment, and if you don't fulfill that assignment, they're they're going to pull your charter. So your first adventure as fledgling adventurers is a command performance. So I put that in. But when I put in this thing and I made it clear that your adventurers are getting these commissions, they're getting hired to do these jobs, because guess what, guys? You're expendable.
See, that's cool. That's I have mercenary guild halls in Altamira, Heartbeat, and Greyhawk, but I've never considered it like it's almost a letter mark, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
So if you're
yeah,
somewhere in the middle of nowhere and a patrol comes by, you gotta show that you're.
yeah.
Yeah, okay,
And
that's
otherwise
interesting.
you're not allowed to bear weapons in the kingdom unless they're tied up with peace strings. And if you're a wizard, you can't even be in the kingdom without registering with the war wizards. Hi, I can cast magic. This is my level. This is the spell books I'll have with me. And, if they don't like it, it's the clink or exile on the spot for you.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
it was just an example of, guess what, guys? This is a never never land, but it's not a no consequences never never land. And just in the same way that there's that thing where Kelvin and Hobbes are playing role playing games, and we're doing stuff, and he says, "This is math class." You know, he thinks he's being tricked into doing math because of the dice and everything. And it was like, yep, you sort of are. There's no getting away from it.
Hmm.
Death and taxes are inescapable. And it was like, oh, that's no fun. Well, yeah, it's
Thanks, Will.
more fun once you've got these challenges and you have to overcome them. I mean, most of us in real life can't play the stock market and suddenly make millions of dollars, because we don't have insider knowledge and we probably aren't going to manage it. But you can do things in the game that you can't do in real life. The person sitting in the wheelchair can actually be an action hero
Well,
in the
yeah,
game.
you can become the even
Must be
gods
updated.
theoretically. I mean, you can be at any power level. That's the cool thing in the world. So yeah, in
Yeah,
games you can play anything and over time and that's why I think that, and also depending on who your players are. If your players are a bunch of 13-year-olds, you don't need to go that politically deep. But if you play like me, you play with a bunch of people who are police officers and work in the whatever and do this for a living, you have to go damn deep because they will question have theories and whatever that are 6 levels deep just to annoy
yep,
you. Yeah.
yep,
So
Updated
that
now.
you
There
need
we
to,
go.
you
It's
know,
updated.
audience, and I've said that many times. I think a great campaign goal is to have one layer deeper than your players demand, so to speak, or are
yeah,
interested in. You need to plan one level deeper than that in order to make the world believable, no matter what. So, but and the key there as a DM is to understand your players' needs, so to speak, and then play to it. Yeah.
So let me ask if I did this properly or not. So Ed, it's not all a rose garden with 2 drink minimum. Ed didn't even Ravalancer didn't even know that there was someone who had a beef with him and out on him. Right?
yeah,
Out of the blue. Out of the
yep,
blue comes a Greyhawk mage of Rari. And Rari slew Odaluk, and you're a Greyhawk mage of Odaluk studying under him, and so that's where his okay, you know.
yeah, okay. But you see, to me, it was like, wouldn't have I have known about that there were such people? Not that I know who their names
Right.
are and where they are, but wouldn't I have known about it? Because I'm going, what? Oh,
There are yeah.
wasn't that in the past? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's okay. So
Okay.
now I know. But you see, for me, it was like, okay, if that had been my campaign,
Mm-hmm.
there'd be so much more political stuff. But you see, the thing is, what we don't have time to do in the way you're running it
With you guys.
is just hang out for hours
Yep.
in the bar
In
and
RP at
talk.
all. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
what we would do. We would you see, there's the thing.
Yeah. You're right.
After the initial thing, I never ever railroaded my characters. They in character went to the Old Skull and other places and sat around buying drinks for caravan people, which is how you get the news, the latest caravan in, and then they would go away and have roll war councils by themselves
Mhm.
and decide what adventures they wanted to have. And after a few episodes, they had so many irons in the fire locally that they were targets and so on. So they were gathering adventures by who was after them and who it just as you did to us. But you see, the thing is, they had role played the
Oh my God,
initial
Patrick.
time in the tavern, so they never ever felt like anything was sprung on them. Because here's the thing about being an adventurer: you choose where you go and what you do in the world. The dungeon master doesn't. And which is why I had to detail this entire huge world so they could literally go everywhere,
Yeah.
anywhere they wanted, not where I bought a module or the latest TSR module. So you have to go through this because I just bought it, guys. I wanted them to choose stuff, and therefore they felt like heroes. They were imposing their will upon the world, not the world throwing monsters at them
And
endlessly.
there's a depending on how much of a sandbox you run. If you run like a story-based campaign where you go from scene to scene, you can be deep, but you don't need to be broad. But in the sandbox, you need to be broad, and then quickly deepens as the player's interest goes in that direction, so to speak. And that can be tricky. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Ed, it's a good
Yeah.
idea. And with all those dream sequences and all those other sidebars that I've set up, it may be a time to have a session where we sit down and just all chat about what our characters want to do.
Yeah. And those are, I mean, they may
Okay.
not be great listening for everybody else,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
but
Okay.
it will be the sort of thing that your players will remember those for years afterwards,
Okay.
because it's their chance. You see, here's the thing. Politicians learn this early on. You put out surveys. You ask about things, because
Right.
even if you don't intend to listen to people, even if you're going to ramrod down their throats what you'd already decided secretly to do anyway, you make them feel they got consulted
Or
about
and
some.
yeah, and you can also use it to anticipate how much resistance you will get
Yes,
down the
yeah,
line, so to
the
speak. So
trial
yeah,
balloon, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But they feel so much better that they
Mm-hmm.
got consulted. And
Oh yeah.
even when you tell them flatly,
Mm-hmm.
like, we have no choice, fellas, we're at war.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had politicians do that in my lifetimes. Look, war's been declared on us. We have no choice.
Yeah, and also you put out a survey, and that way your enemies can single themselves out by providing you, so you know who, because I want to go after people with opinion X or Y or Z or whatever it is,
Bingo.
and then when they send the information to me, oh, you are on my enemy list, and you and you and you, and I can ignore them. So information is key, so to speak, and yeah.
Yeah. But your players will feel
Mm-hmm.
much better because
Yep.
they feel like they were consulted.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in
And
the same way,
yeah.
like, if they're choosing their adventure, even if
Yeah.
it's gonna get derailed, and
Mm-hmm.
all along I
Mm.
plan to dump them into this.
Yeah.
So the dungeon I bought is moving magically, although they don't know it, to always be in their way, no matter which direction
That's
they
funny.
go.
Yeah, the Schrodinger's goblin or
Yeah,
whatever they,
yeah.
yeah, mm-hmm, yeah,
But
but
they
it
will
was,
Good
feel
idea.
better
yeah,
because they feel
mm-hmm,
like they are being adventurers. They are
yeah,
changing the world.
yeah,
And now the other, to go back to that very basic thing at the beginning, the way that the wider world affects it in non-violent ways. And I did this when doing the realms, because the realms started as a story world before the game, and I was writing, let's be blunt about it, half the time I was writing Fawford and Grey Mouser urban stories, and the other half the time I was writing Quasi Conan stories. But both of those stories, we had merchants, because they're the people with the money that you want to
yeah,
relieve them of. And we had caravans, and we had ships arriving at docks. Well, a ship comes from somewhere distant, and it brings goods that they can sell and that are needed somewhere where the ship goes, or near where the ship goes. And vice versa, caravans doing the same thing across the world, which means I had a lot of places in the world that were off the map, but it's where diamonds come from. Or it's where, in the case of the Moon Sea, it's where all those metals that you use in swords come from.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes the Moon Sea, which is this cold, isolated backwater, that's what makes it so important. Hey, if
Yep.
I want good tools for my farm, swords or plowshares, you know, I need the metal. And where is the metal? Oh, in the Moon Sea.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there were lots of places off the edge of the map that was where interesting stuff comes from. So there's a reason for it to be in this caravan. That was basically it.
Yep.
So that's
And
another way that the sorry, I just
no,
want to
no,
say
No,
no,
it's
please.
good. No,
Yeah.
no,
Mm-hmm.
no,
that's the
absolutely.
other way that the off grid, off center stage, wider world is continually feeding into the
Yep.
campaign.
Yeah. And I
Now,
want to go back to what you said about the politicians, and then I filled in like the evil ones that use the information. But and the cool thing is, as a game master or DM, you get to play both the good and the bad villains, so to speak. You get to play the good ones that use it for good and the bad. So you get to
True,
play the
true.
whole register, which is part of the fun of being a DM. You can play the good guys and you get to play the bad guys. So you get to lure and help and shove and obfuscate and run the disinformation and all of that, so to speak, to
and
in
the
order
other
to play
thing
it.
is, although it can be great fun because you're in a fantasy campaign, to really have a snively whiplash, twirl the mustache, out and out villain, um, at least with my players, the more experience they got, the more they loved villains who, to the villain's point of view, he's not a villain. He's doing the right thing.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just that
Mm-hmm.
nobody agrees with them. What's wrong with these people?
Yep.
Why can't they see that this is the best way forward? And damn it, if they won't do it, he's going to force it down their throats because it's simply too important not
Well,
to.
yeah, a villain simply means that you and that villain, your interests are up opposed in some way, so
Yeah,
to speak, a critical way. And just like the real world, they are trying to fulfill their destiny or their goals, what they see as necessary, or there's no other way. They have to do it, and you feel like you're serving the side that has the right to do it, and then you get a clash, so to speak. That's yeah.
yeah,
That's conflict 101, and that means, but then these goals can change and you can get new information and so on and so forth. So that's part of the twisting things, so to speak. And
sure.
George Krasos is on. There
yeah.
you go. What's up,
Hey,
George? Good to see you.
Hello.
George and Eric between them
Yep.
are the two best lore lords of the realms.
Yep.
Cool.
They have made careers out of explaining away the inconsistencies in all the published products in the game, like in-game reasons for why this
Hmm.
contradicts this or how they can both coexist. And I love them for it.
It's
Awesome.
beautiful. Perfect. Eric's one of those crossovers too, where he knows just enough in Greyhawk to be dangerous too.
Hey, Jay, that is the definition of dangerous.
Yeah.
Knowing just enough.
Just
Hmm.
enough. Just enough to be dangerous with it. Yeah, 100%. All right. Here's a question. You have the Centarum, and then you have the Redwood, the Thay, and is it possible to have too many villains?
Oh, okay. Yes and no.
Okay.
It is possible. It is not possible to have too many villains if you're building a vast world that you want to last for literally beyond your lifetime.
Yep.
But it is possible to overwhelm individual players in a campaign with stuff they can't handle or too many of them to keep track of. And then the campaign no longer is enjoyable. It's as much of a headache as the real world is for them.
Hmm.
And they lose interest and they don't want to play, or it's getting too real. In the same way that, let's say one of your real world players loses their mother to cancer and then their father to cancer, say a year later. It would be the act of an real a-hole, a real insensitive a-hole, to then have a plot thread in the campaign where suddenly everybody's dying of cancer. Because that's not going to be fun for them. That's not going to be a
Yep.
nice reminder. So you don't do it. And in the same way, it is possible to have too many villains, so they reach that indecision where they don't know which way to jump because and it's not fun anymore. It is dark and grim and like the and which is one of the
Mhm.
problems with fantasy fiction too. If you overdo the grimdark, you will reach a point at which people don't want to read about it anymore
Yeah.
because they like this to be escapist from the real world,
Hmm.
not worse than the real world.
Yeah. But there's two dimensions to this that I want to add that sets you're completely right, Ed, but that sets where those limits are. And one of them, meaning you need to give the player or the character the tools to deal with the situation. That's another key issue, so to speak. You can have dim, dire situation in the game, but if you give the player the right tools to deal with it, those can be assets. Then you'd want the challenge, so to speak. So it's the you can it's like raising the DC, but you give pluses to the dice as well, so to speak. So and these things need to not go automatic, so the player always assume that everything is balanced. No, it needs to, some encounters and some difficulties in the campaign needs to be much more difficult, but then there should be trade-offs that, oh, I'm giving, and resources and abilities might be, the character might get better at things, better at skills, and as you level up and so on, and you get better equipment, you get more pluses. But it might also be information. The character, the player, the character figure things out that need. Oh, I know where to be in order to thwart the enemy by being one step ahead or something like that. And so play with both the technical game side, meaning mechanic side, give them an edge, so to speak.
Give them
But
agency. Yeah.
exactly, agency, but also play with the fact that give them insights so they can be the one driving the plot forward, so to speak. And sometimes they have to react and simply react to what happens. But as a DM, don't push you should not push the plot forward at all times. You should push it sometimes, really stress the players, and then the other way around, let the players run the show for back and forth. Yeah.
So they can say, well, here's another fine mess you've got.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
they can be the one doing the ambush and not only get ambushed. So they need to, and a good campaign, you give and take in that sense, and it should come naturally. It should not be railroaded. That should come if the players have good ideas and come up with cool stuff. They should feel gaining from that in games, so to speak.
Yeah,
Should,
yeah.
yeah.
The game should give them a chance to use
Exactly.
it.
Yep. And
Yeah.
especially if they come up with cool ideas and run with it. And if players come up with cool ideas or ways to thwart the villain, let them do it. And then invent another villain down the line, so to speak. Then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, two things here. You see, Jay, when you sprang that thing at GaryCon, that's totally fine. But if that became a habit, nobody likes surprises. And it would be why didn't I know about this? What was wrong with my intel?
Understood.
Yeah. Now the other thing is though, very early on, you need to disabuse your players of the fact that they're always going to win because they're the heroes, that everything's rigged. And because I can recall a very early storytelling session in Boy Scouts on a canoe trip, and somebody is telling ghost stories around the fire by night. The fireside tales.
Mm-hmm.
And this one little kid was getting more and more scared by what he was hearing, and worse things were happening in the ghost story. And finally, he complained to the scoutmaster who was telling the story. That isn't fair. And the scoutmaster looked at him and said, "How old are you?" And he gave his age, and the scoutmaster says, "And you still think the world is fair? Well, you are an idiot." And
Damn.
of course he's in the middle of a provincial park. It's going to be days before they can get out of it by canoeing. He has to live with the scoutmaster and all of the other scouts. But the scoutmaster, after that initial wham, was nice to him, and he said, "What do you mean?" And he explained, "The world isn't fair, Sonny. Don't ever think that it's going to turn out all right just because the good guys always win. The good guys only win when you help them to win. It's all up to you. And if you stop helping them, the world will go back to crap in a hurry. This is your role as a Boy Scout. And it was like it became a teaching moment, but the poor kid was flabbergasted, but that can't be because the hero has to get out. The hero has to live. Isn't that what being a hero is? No. A hero is doing the stupid, dangerous, probably fatal thing where after everybody else ran away because they know it's a fatal thing, but you stay anyway, even if the likelihood is you're going down. And we saw that in Peter Jackson was very careful to make sure we all saw that in his adaptation of The Lord of the Rings. When Grimbold is saying to Theoden, we can't win this war.
Yeah.
And he says, yes. Nevertheless, we shall meet them on the field of battle. Because it's not about whether any of them come home or not. It's to win time for their wives and kids, to win a chance that people will get away, even if all of them go down. And what he's basically saying, that's your job. Those oaths you swore? It wasn't fair weather. It was for moments like this, and I will go down fighting. And he did. But I mean, that's the thing. He's saying we can't win this war. Nope.
Hey, Forge the Lord.
But we'll meet them on the battlefield anyway. And of course, that's the other thing. If your world is large and detailed behind everything, then it doesn't feel fake to your reader or to your players in a role-playing game, because they have bought into the idea that this world is real and you've been adding detail to it constantly. So they go, oh, that's just the way it is in this setting.
And
they
if
don't
you
go.
Please give
if you've done a good job, they will build up to those moments, and they will come, and the players will rise to the occasion because they feel that the story deserves it, so to speak, and they need to do it, and that will bring
the world
cool
matters
adventure.
the world matters to them, and they also don't think, oh, Ed had upset tummy from dinner, he's going to kill us off because he feels like it. They're never ever going to have that feeling because they never ever regard the dungeon master as an adversary.
Yeah, and let the dice decide. So you don't know. No one should know the outcome of that battle that comes. Let the dice, give them grim odds, and let the dice fall where they do, and then wonderful things might happen or disaster might strike, but nonetheless a real event in your campaign have taken place. You got a real outcome that is fair in that sense, that it was what the world provided, and you with your players, you played it out, the dice decided the outcome, and the history will go down, so to speak, and it will be forever in your campaign annals that took place.
So Ed, while you and Anna have been talking, I conducted an experiment in chat, and that was, who actually is the main antithesis in my campaign? It goes back 45 years, right? And Curtis and Jeremy Astrolire, who've been playing, in higher level invention groups, one with you and all, and they didn't know because it's been all subplots running about, which I think works because. The main Order of Ulick versus Fritz, that's funny. That's funny there, Dale. The Order of Ulick is there to defend against a group called the Dark Brotherhood, which is, you'll love this, Ed. They're Leviathan worshippers, at least the main ones are. I love Leviathan.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, well, I know a good place you can buy whips, just saying.
Yeah. And, they've been for years, and I've had a main antithesis for them. I've run through 4. In 45 years, I have 4 leaders of it. Going all the way back, so we're on the 4th iteration now. So, but let's just I haven't done anything in those because I reserve that for my guys for the most part, right? But we have, as Curtis says, we have the Amazons of the Crimson Moon, the ones that are the Men Corruptors, and Fritz has had that firsthand. What that's all about, And then you guys have had now this new one I brought in where Rary's involved, and you've had the dream about you have to go kill Rary yourself. So it's like,
Yep. Yep.
deviating off,
Yeah.
of other plots. So, and like, not every group has to have the same plot and the same end goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, most of the fun thing is if you've got multiple groups adventuring the same setting, is goals that are going to bring them into conflict eventually.
Yes.
So
Absolutely, 100%, and that's the
and
great thing.
if you do it at the beginning, you've just turned them into people who regard each other as the enemy and hate each other. But if you do it after years of play and experience, they're looking across the table at people, or through the Zoom lens, at people they know
Right.
and respect, and they're having to make moral choices.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yep. So you gave me a lot of food for thought on this one. On the next time we have two drink minimum together, I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's got to be all
Direction.
sweetness and light, chamomile tea, and chatting. We'll play dolls. Hey, I'm just trying to live a little longer. It's only Eric's character who's trying to die gloriously. The rest of us want to live to see the next.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. He's tried. He's tried every time. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's it's a good point. All right. So, trying to figure out how this one's tough for specific lore, and I didn't think you'd have anything on this one because we're doing very theoretical on this. What from your thoughts on Greyhawk, and let's just pick an area around Greyhawk City.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many directions that can go, and it can go 1,000 directions, right?
Oh,
anything that comes to your mind, like, oh, I like this. This would be a really good one to follow. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but
well, you see, there's three things that come to mind when I look at Greyhawk City. Well, actually, there's more than that, because there's the old: is the Great Kingdom ever going to rise again, or is somebody going to try and make it rise and do a lot of damage in the process? But the other things are, okay, you have a ruler, who sticks around beyond normal lifespan, and then suddenly is seen no more. That's established in canon.
You mean Zagic?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Are they gone? Or rather, is their interest in mortal stuff gone? Or do they have plans? Are they going to come raring back to do something? Then there's the Scarlet Brotherhood, and set up as this villain for everywhere, doing everything across the world. How strong do you want them in that area in your campaign? And because of what we just mentioned earlier with organized play, somebody else may make that decision for the people who are playing in organized play as to, how prominent this or that group is as villains, how many prime movers. But I mean, I'm looking at all. If I'm running it in my camp, I'm looking at all of those. But the first thing I'm saying, to go back to what Anna said, is, what do my players want? What do they want at the table? What do they like? I don't mean that I'm gonna give them just stuff they like every night, because then where's the challenge in that, if everything's sweetness and light? But what style of play are they most interested in? Because that's going to affect what I want to the fore.
Right.
For instance, if just for sake of argument, if they were all powerful wizards and trying to become more powerful, that's when you pull in Rary and various other wizards who may want to take them down, or have things up their sleeves, or think they have the last copy of this thing they've been looking for. Because surely, as an apprentice of Odaluk, you would have gotten. You see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
But again, it's what do they want at play? Because if that's not the style of play they want to do over and over again, then you wouldn't go there. But if it is, you'd go in with both boots on, because it's all about building memories with these particular players. And if they are loving what you do, even if there are heroic deaths and things aren't going well for them, they will love it if it's what they wanted to do.
Right.
If they get the chance to face down the big villain, that's what it is. What they want. If they don't value what they're doing as a adventuring group, if they think they were being distracted or led off down a side thing again, sort of thing,
Yep.
they're not going to like it. But if you are giving them exactly what they want, it's going to be, oh yeah, it was a glorious death. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Someone had blundered, but there's not the reason why. There's but to do and die. And of course, if they have that feeling, yeah, I loved that. Yeah, we went down, but we died with our boots on, sort of thing. Um, then they are gonna love that and remember it. So again, it's you are building this story with your players. What sort of story do they want? Give it to them, and then let them make it their own story. Again, as Anna said, it has to be their story, and they're not just invested in it. They take ownership of it, and they
Mm-hmm.
feel really good. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they die horribly. If they died horribly doing what they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what they like also involves things that are obstacles and difficulties and stuff like that too. So yeah, meaning some groups like puzzles and quizzes and stuff, and some of them don't care for much for these things,
No.
and so on. So yeah, so even they can prefer different types of challenges and obstacles and stuff. So yeah.
Let me ask a question that was way back because I don't want to lose it. Clever said, could differences in attention span or focus among younger tabletop RPG players contribute to a particular kind of dissonance or divergence within a campaign's narrative or group dynamic? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's two sides to this.
Okay.
There's the short-term attention span, meaning some players want things combat should go quickly and then you should have something else, meaning every half hour you should change the tempo. But then you have the long-term things, meaning come back to story points that happen 2 sessions ago, 10 sessions ago, or 3 hours ago, meaning how often you come back and you weave things together is another one, or that immediate don't linger on whatever you're doing at the moment. Some people want change every half hour, or combat should not drag for more than half an hour, or downtime, then they need something. So some players want the game to move faster than others, but you also have the fact that you can weave something together in the longer term that I think is really important and often overlooked, because even groups that want constant change still would maybe probably appreciate that weave of cool things weaving into together, even if you have short little scenes all the time, so to speak.
Yeah, and I have seen this in the Home Realms campaign because we had one note taker among us, you know, who scribbled frantically. Well, I was also scribbling frantically as the dungeon master because I wanted to record who died and what hit points and whatever. So you see, my father was it's hilarious. I can tell this story because my father's dead and they don't do things this way at the university. My father was a prof, and they had these exam booklets printed by the university, and you had to hand them in at the end of the exam, not just the ones that you'd filled out, but all the unfilled out ones. So somebody couldn't take an exam book home and fake an exam. You know, you had to turn them in. My father grew up in lean times on farms. You didn't waste stuff. That was a crime,
Right. Right.
wasting stuff. So he was supposed to destroy these exam books, just throw them out in the garbage. He brought them home for us to use as scrap paper. So I had all these exam booklets. So everything was the same size and it was ruled paper, stapled in the center and 3-hole punched. So I could just like write it the date I started one across the top and just continue the campaign. So I had a written record of the campaign. But I also had a player who was writing frantically at the same speed I was. And what he was writing down is names of guards, names of public officials, names of merchants that they went and talked to, and the joy on his face and the payoff and the cheers around the table when 6 or 7 actual years had passed and they meet somebody in a caravan.
Mm-hmm.
And I described to somebody, and he goes, wait a minute, wait a minute. And he riffles through his notes and he says, I say to him, is that you, Jolry? And I say, and the merchant's face beams, and he says, I remember you not, but yes, that is indeed my name. Where did our paths last cross? And then he goes, I would like to trade with you. We last traded and and it's like the payoff,
Mm-hmm.
of, oh, this was, and it also makes the world seem way
Yep.
more real. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not making this stuff off the top of my bum for them.
Yep.
This place is real. This world is real. And we
Yep.
just bumped into somebody again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small world. No, no.
Yep. That's awesome. So go back to locations you were years ago can be wonderful. First of all, you don't have to develop the place and map it out again. And secondly, it's nostalgia at its best, so to speak. And that way you can tie it in because the character can go back in and instead of them being low level, whatever, meaning like Tolkien did, where the hobbits coming back to the Shire when they were powerful and leveled up and all of
Yeah.
that, and they can put things right. You can use similar stuff. Go back to the beginning, and those petty villains are nothing when they come back 10, 15 level, and they know the place. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of the best scenes in Tolkien. You know, oh, you've come back. You're all grown up and you got mail
Yep.
all over you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. And you know how to organize. That was the big
Yeah.
thing in that fight.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in that fight. Yeah, in the battle. Yeah.
So, okay. I guess for me, a way that I do what we're discussing here. Oh, Patrick, my gosh, thanks. You're on a roll tonight.
Wow.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Is I love the ultra long-term plot arc, which just goes on forever. Now, for example, Curtis, who's playing Fritz, is involved in one that I think goes back to 80. I'm going to say 89 or 90. With the corruption of one of the Winchester Paladins, and his, and we saw that at GaryCon too. So that's kind of like, I love putting a seed in there, letting it develop and fester a little bit, and then maybe forget about it, but then it comes back. That's I just love doing that. I think I have 4 or 5 that are still running right now. And a couple of them go back to the mid 80s. So.
Yeah. That is the joy of putting all that time and effort into a long-running campaign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you really are building memories, and people really appreciate it because it has meaning. Because in the same way that somebody will do something that say brings back an old character. Okay, Wednesday Addams. From the Addams family. There is a payoff in nostalgia for a lot of people because they're remembering when they first discovered that years ago, and they're going back to when they were younger and so on. And you get the same thing in a campaign that you've been
Mm-hmm.
working on for this long.
Yeah, and look at it, meaning we talk about sports events and stuff in the real world, that who wins the league or lost or won a game, meaning that doesn't mean anything really in the real world, meaning it doesn't change the economy or outcomes of wars or it's no scientific discovery or anything like that, but it still means a lot for everybody involved and people around. The same thing with our games. They are very important for us that have fun around the table telling the stories, and we create memories that we cherish together, so to speak, and that means a lot to us and just like a sports game, that means a lot. But we have, and now thanks to the internet stuff, D&D and our games are even can even be turned into a spectator sport. So they mean something for even for people outside the group. But even if it only means for you and your group, it's still important and fun, and you can cherish it and use it and as a kind of a currency for future games, so to speak. That
Yeah.
emotional time you invested in the story can then be used to leverage in the future to make future stories even better by you relying on the foundation you built, so to speak. That's why long-term campaigns can be cool. But it doesn't necessarily need to be with the same players, because you can use your game prep, you can use the previous adventures and stuff as history, legends, and that gives you a starting ground, because it's world building that your players have helped you do, so to speak, that you can build upon in the future, and you can then, by staying in the same area and keep developing rather than just go to a new location for every adventure, you make each adventure richer in its sources and surroundings and details, so to speak.
Yeah, and when I started the realms, my initial group of players, because of the addition of the game of D&D that we were playing then, there was a sweet spot from about level 3 to about level 12
Yeah,
for your characters, where the game played fairly well, and
Yeah.
then it started to get unbalanced. And what they said is, okay, when we get up there, if we like have gotten what we wanted, like a stronghold or we're ruling some area, we want to retire our characters and have their children go adventuring.
mm-hmm.
And then I can't lose my beloved original character anymore because they're not going on adventures, but it'll be their son or daughter. And, and that became because they sort of like really wanted me to do it this way. And we
Yeah.
discussed it. And so that's what we did. And
Yeah,
they would
and that means
retire.
that the original characters are still there, so you can call them in for like a
Yes.
cool one shot or the special
Yeah.
location or when the big
Absolutely.
battle comes or something like that. You can call them in.
But it
Thirst.
also meant that they felt like hey, I have offspring.
Yeah.
I'm now
Mm-hmm.
like now I'm a grandfather or
Yeah.
grandmother. And
Mm-hmm.
now look what I've affected the world. This is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
We're on generation 3.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Another part to this that I think that I wanted to bring up when I thought about the topic here, that I think ties into this a bit, that is a dimension that I think that was really part of D&D early on, and role-playing games that then got lost in later editions and in modern play. And I'm talking about downtime play that ties into wargaming, because you can play, if you read the original Greyhawk guide, you had like each nation had so many troops and blah blah, so meaning D&D comes from wargaming roots where you play
Surely.
kingdoms and armies and stuff. And I was thinking that's something I want to do with Hawk Tales. I want to have downtime and campaign play out as a war game. And in the beginning I wasn't interested, but now I realize that's something you can do as play by post on online between sessions. So you can use overland travel and you can let the villains travel and stuff. So that way you get that build that dynamic. So I wanted rules for that, because that's a dimension that I think is gotten lost a bit in the new ways of playing the game. And to be honest, it got lost fairly early on, the wargaming roots. But I want to, and for good reason, because you emphasize on role playing and all the social interactions and stuff that wasn't in the game originally, that then have become more mainstay, which I think is a plus. But it would be cool to take components of that original wargaming and weave it into a game, so to speak. Especially now when we have cool tools that can keep track of things, and you don't have to sit in the same room to do it. You can play that over time, so to speak, using digital tools.
So, all awesome discussions to this point. I love it. We'll take some questions in a second here. I'm
Yeah.
trying to answer some of them. So, without NDA issues, Ed, Give us something that maybe not everyone knows about in a long-term campaign plot arc you have in your Forgotten Realms.
Oh boy. What can I say?
Yes.
That is the difficult thing. How far can I go with this? Okay. Um, there are people in the realms, not necessarily human, the dragon princes of Burgon, just to pull one
Okay.
name out of the hat, um, who have been working on their own plans, and the player characters don't even know about them because they're not on their radar. I mean, oh yeah, I can look at a map, and yeah, aren't there dragon princes ruling there? But they're not going to pay any attention to that unless or until the dragon princes become a dangerous pain in the ass, which they haven't yet, because the dragon princes are totally disinterested in drawing unnecessary trouble. They're not stupid like Napoleon or Hitler and end up on a too many fronts war because they just have to take everybody down. Instead, they're far more interested in ruling their kingdoms the way they want them ruled, preparing for an eventual war that they intend to win. So they intend to be ready when suddenly their foes realize, oh my goodness, we're going to be at war. Well, when that happens, they want to be ready to win. So they're not borrowing any trouble by opening their mouths or doing anything now. But again, if you have the chance to role play these long discussions where people sit around in pubs or even in the private clubs. Remember, I had an adventurers club,
Mm-hmm.
which got a naturalist club and so on, that got played up and used in the novels that is in the outskirts of Suzale, where they all get together and talk about such things. And it's sort of like the British explorers in the time of the Empire with their solar toupees or pith helmets, going, "Oh yes, we were out there amongst the," and of course that led to the famous
Out the
talk.
provinces. Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, but the same famous quotation: "Where does the British Army fight most of its battles?" And the answer is on a steep hillside in the pouring rain at a spot where two maps meet, because it was like time and again they were, but that was the whole point. If you have a chance to sit down and talk about these things, it doesn't just become those, so I was seated on a native when, it stops being those offensive type stories and starts being we have to talk about the world, because if we don't deal with it, our sons and daughters are going to die dealing with it. So we got to get our act together, because this is brewing here. We got to pay attention here, folks. And that sort of stuff is meat and drink. Because again, the adventurers feel like they are affecting the world, not the
Yeah,
world
and
is
and also
ambushing them.
yeah, I totally agree. And if you can get the players to pinpoint these problems, if you can just play out the environment and the players themselves say, oh, this is a bad situation, someone should do something about that. And then they can, if they appoint themselves to be the someone is doing something, and they feel like it's our issue, we've taken responsibility for it, we're going to see this through, and they petition the king to go and deal with it, or they secretly deal with it anyway against the king's will because he's the one that caused the problem to happen, or they mean they be the leader of the rebellion, or they are the ones throwing the other power that underhandedly secretly going in subverting an area against the ruler, and you save the day, and the ruler is whatever. You can play that many different ways, and it might not be obvious which way it will go, and that will be up to the player's actions and how the dice falls, so to speak, whether that
Hmm.
where it ends up.
And Jay, you can have the delight as the dungeon master in such a situation of having your villains be the real Machiavellis who are manipulating the do-gooders, like the player characters, into thinking that this was their idea. The old thing of,
Hmm.
if you want people to buy into an idea, just get them to think that it was their idea.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or
And then
providing them excellent weapons and resources and stuff. So then the king can say, see, they're funded and equipped by our enemies, blah blah, or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, if you can do that with your villains, then they really are villains. And
Mm-hmm.
when the player characters realize they've been had, you
Yep.
will see visceral hatred.
Exactly, and
And
then the players will have a real mission to go
right,
and vanquish that one who thwarted them and got them into trouble, so to speak.
There's a lot of and not to say that Ed and I are on the same level. All right, I don't want to say that, but in time frame, the long being for our campaigns to be as long as they have, we've had to take at least a couple main plot arcs, and we've had to go a couple dozens of different directions, or it's going to get boring, right?
right.
It's go, yeah. So and a way we've done that is we've changed locations of adventuring groups, or we've gone off on some tangents on. Oh well, we're going to do the group in the northern Vestry Forest, and their main goal is going to be thwarting Yayus. I only have like two groups doing that. One in the Shield Lands and one there. That's it. I don't want Ayus to be I don't want no Vecna, no. I mean, I got my own plot arcs that have been going on since 1980. But you have to find your way back. And Jeremy and I are talking right now. And the last adventure we did, where we took Tony's Xanthoria plague, which I had done, and someone's trying to bring that creature back, and Gazumba sends you guys on that. It's the closest you guys have actually come to the main arc, which is the Order of Ulick, the knighthood. Because you guys really, because you're a neutral character and you're more interested in knowledge, and that's the direction I've gone. But I think I can move you guys a little bit more into that causal fight, causal group, and that'll lead you into some more baddies and some more people that are more very manipulative, and that's what Jeremy and I are going back and forth on that right now in the chat, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
But
That's
we could sit down and relax in Altamira and just for a full adventure and just everyone just have at each other and just talk things out. I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea, even if it only goes 2.5, 3 hours. You know what I mean? It's still
yeah.
But I think Draga here has a point to this, is that some groups, and especially some players, they don't care for these long. They want to vanquish things and kill things and get a better sword, so to speak.
That's true.
And that's something I respect. Meaning we have different things. For there's like this continuum. For some players and DMs, this is a game. They want to win it. They want to have more pluses, more equipment, more mechanics, and that's the cool thing of the game, so to speak. And it's a continuum. One end is that it's chess with more cool things to the pieces, so to speak. It's a game. I want my character to be better, and I want to do more, roll bigger dice and kill more enemies, period. That's one end. The other end is this is improv poetry and a slam and improv theater and stuff like that, with a little bit of rules just to create some scaffolding, so to speak. That's the other end of the thing. The rules mean there's only one little component to make it work and nothing more. And most of us are somewhere in between. But I think it's both as a player and a DM, it's important to know roughly where you and your players fall into this, so you can give that mechanics game focused player a bit more cool stuff to play with and emphasize. And you want these players and stuff that don't care much about the rules at all, more kind of cool things for them to or find players and find where you want a group that roughly falls in the spectrum where you do, so to speak. And that and also to choose the right rule system to that fills your needs, so to speak, the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's one story I want to tell, because
please.
I don't think we'll ever get a chance to tell it. So this is an early Gen Con. Wisconsin Parkside campus, okay, back then. And Gary Gygax was standing talking, I think, to Gene Wells and some other people in the company, stuff they had to do at the con, get to my car and get this sort of stuff, because remember, everything was pretty small back then, okay? And this mother is what she looked like, a housewife and a mother in one of those gingham print dresses, sensible shoes, foundation garments, the usual, came up to him and stood listening for a bit and realized this was Gary Gygax. Or maybe she saw the name tag. I don't know. I wasn't close enough to. And she started to cry. And the reaction was, "Oh, lady, is there something wrong?" And she just clutched at him. She said, "You don't realize how much this means to me." And of course, he's going, "Uh-huh, uh-huh." But you see, the thing is, she was not a gamer. She lived in a tiny rural village somewhere isolated in the United States in a time when this was a satanic game, and she couldn't find anyone to play with. She bought all the stuff and just read it. She didn't play the game. She didn't have anyone to play with. She just bought the rule books
But she
and
saw the
read.
potential and she understood how cool it could
Well,
be. Yeah.
it was a real world to her.
Yeah.
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 And so and I kept saying that when I was writing for Dragon. Guys, there are people out here who can't play. They don't have players. They just read this. To
Mm-hmm.
them, this is endless fiction about a setting.
Yep.
Reward them. Make sure the setting is worth reading about, and they will come back for more because to them, this is their escape valve from the real world.
Yep.
This hairy fairy fantasy setting that we're putting together really matters. So, bear that in mind when you're writing for it. Don't fail them. Give them interesting stuff each month because they're waiting for it. They're hungry for it. And that's all it was. She just wanted to thank this man for keeping her sane because this was her escape valve.
Yep.
But she couldn't play. She had no players. And of course, there's no internet
No
back then.
VTTs. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
None of
nothing.
that. No.
And she had like saved her money and her time, and it was because her kids were off at camp. She'd managed to, get rid of her kids off to camp that she could attend at all, and this was her
Hopefully she got to
chance.
play at the convention.
Yeah,
No. Yeah.
Yep. And have fun. Yep.
but I never forgot that because
Yep.
it's like, okay, look how much this matters to this person, and she can't play.
Right.
It's just
Yep.
fiction. It's just a setting.
I
So
think there's
reward her.
there's a significant amount of people in the hobby that doesn't participate actively in the hobby, but they're still cherishing it and it means a lot to them.
Yeah. Yeah, this is to them, we owe it to them to build
Mhm.
enough into the settings,
Yep.
the interesting subplots and so on, that they can sit there and go, "Oh, so what if what if say the Sea Barons decided it was time to build an empire with the sword? What would, let's pull out our maps, and Anne is giving us beautiful, great maps of all of Greyhawk to look at, and you can literally pour over the map and say, okay, so where would they strike first? Where should we post sentinels? Where should there be beacons? Like the famous beacons again we saw in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
You can light a warning beacon and know when something's happening that the word will never travel, because you've got to remember, in the books they send the red arrow of war and the sender gets butchered on the way. He
Hmm.
never gets there. But you see, this is a way that people can know that sort of thing. You start thinking about potentials in the setting. What if
Mm-hmm.
this, what if that, and that way the setting comes alive for you. And of course, when you're a player choosing your own career in one of these role playing sessions where you sit around deciding, or if you're the dungeon master, what am I going to inflict on these guys next? Uh, um, it all makes sense if you looked out and thought things through. What is stopping so and so from doing that? There must be a deterrent in place. What is the deterrent? Okay, what if we remove the deterrent by assassinating somebody? I mean, in our real world, we had a major world war start because of an assassination.
Yeah, World War I.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like, oh, okay. So what happens if? And then you go, okay, and then you start thinking it through. Do I want to have that? Do I want to change the character of my setting to be that World Warish or whatever? So you're making the decision now before you play into it the hard way at the table where somebody does something and you think, oh shit, I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
this to go in this direction. And now I'm stuck with it for 4 years. I think I'll go to college instead. You know, but you see what I mean though?
Yeah.
Now the world is coming alive for you and you're going, what if I did this? What if I did that? And guess what? if if you're a fiction writer, a fiction fantasy writer, and you write a long running series, sooner or later you're going to be doing these sort of things with yourself because your initial ideas are going to be all played out or in play. And now you've got to decide, okay, what am I going to do next? Well, what do I want to do next? Well, what happened if this kingdom suddenly, oh, that'd be intriguing. Do I want to write books about that though, because eugenics makes me feel uncomfortable. Maybe I don't want to write about that, or maybe I do. That's the thing. You're starting to use the chess pieces, or you starting to use the toys that earlier children left in the sandbox, or however you want to look at it, and the world is coming alive for itself because your reasons for things happening are happening in world, not hey, Ed just got this great idea by watching an old episode of Doogie Howser last night.
Doogie Howser, that's funny. Oh my gosh.
So you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead, it's going to be the world suggests this adventure opportunity. Let's run with it. And then when it happens, your player characters didn't go, oh, we should never let you order Chinese food because this is always what happens when you have a Chinese food meal. You get these ideas about, instead they go, oh yeah, of course that happened. Yeah, we could see it coming
Mm-hmm.
because it grows out of the world. It's right there in front of them.
Yeah, what Ed said, there's a major part of how I write the extended histories and timelines I do for Grail. Yeah, Sam.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to you think you set up a plan, but sometimes you're like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna tweak it here.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, let me think here on a question. Questions from the audience. We'll take some, please. Throw them out there. For let me ask this for Anna: how difficult are you having it? Because you've added in um, convention players to affect the game now.
Yeah.
How hard is it with only at first having just one group affecting what you're doing?
It's a little bit hard because sometimes you have convention players that know Greyhawk well, and
Right.
and they are kind of that they come in, meaning there's people that watches this and in our community that know more about Greyhawk than I do. So it's awesome. They can come in and they can bring in that knowledge and they can dig deep into the lore and they can play a character. Meaning I've run several of the conventions. I've had players, characters that have been like 8th or 9th level. So they've been at that level when they can start really digging into the story and be a force in the world, so to speak, in the campaign. But sometimes you have players who thought that, oh, I missed the favorite game I wanted to sign up for, and your game was one that came up. So I have no clue what Greyhawk, barely know what Greyhawk is. Yeah, I've usually have one or two players in the group of like 6 or so that at least one that don't know who I am, have heard about Greyhawk. That was something they played back in 40 years ago, and they have a vague idea. They know what Forgotten Realms. Everybody knows that, but a few people they know a little bit about Greyhawk. That's about it. Never heard of me and my maps or anything. And then you have to kind of give them a quick rundown, so to speak, and that's the tricky bit, is to accommodate that whole range from people who have no clue what Greyhawk is to people who have lived and bred been breathing and going in like Sam and others who they know everything about Greyhawk there is to know. They know way more than me. I can't fool them. And if I do, that means I have to change things. And that I think is the tricky bit to have a story. So my way of dealing with it is that the immediate session, so to speak, what happens right now is rarely or if ever world changing, meaning we are not defeating Thuriston or not even Ayus or whatever. So it's not world twisting and ending what's going to happen the next 6 hours, but it means a lot to it can mean a heck of a lot for one realm or a city or the next battle or whatever happens in this season or something like that in the campaign. So it can mean a lot for the Shieldlands war the next 6 months, so to speak, or this winter, so to speak. It can mean we can go on a spring offensive earlier, or IUs will capture a town again, or something like that. So that I think is my advice is that you bring it down from these enormous high horses that are mentioned in the realms book, the realm, but the guides from the whole setting guides down to more down to earth in the immediate setting, so to speak. Really important to all the critters and the humans and stuff that lives and carries out their day-to-day lives in that area, so to speak. That's my advice to DMs is that it can be mean life and death, but not for the whole setting.
Understood.
But it's a great question because it
Yeah.
is a tricky thing to do. Really, really tricky when you get players to hold. Because some of them, they're like, some might sign up to my game because I want to hear Meyerhawk lore and now I want to see this cool thing or whatever. And other people never heard of me and they're not interested in all this the stupidities I've dreamt up of Greyhawk. They just want to have a game. That's it. They want to kill things and roll dice. So yeah.
My trick at these cons is I stack the deck with people who are vested and they're going to direct the others, right?
Right? So you that's a good one.
Yeah, I've done all of them. All of them. There's I always have like 3 or 4.
So you have some people that you know who's going to play.
Every game at GaryCon, every game at Page has people that are part of the campaign.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to sign up until because all seats are open, so to speak. And I try to push myself as a DM to try and cater to a wider variety of players. And I try to. That's been my goal now, both with Hawktails and running games the last 3 years at conventions and online and stuff, is to develop my own style of West Marches, not my own version of West Marches, so to speak. And I want to develop both the tool. I do, but that is the only what it resembles the most, so to speak. My version of it that players can come and go, but the campaign can persist and thrive, so to speak.
I think you just described my campaign, and I'm sorry to be arrogant, but I hate that West Marches title. I don't know where.
But I like the idea of the West Marches. I don't like it the way they did it back then because I want it different and in overall it's a lot what you do, but on the session level it might be very different.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I have a much more sandboxy style.
You are very sandboxy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The style is different, but the characters flowing in and out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For example, if Two Drink Minimum gets together and Tony and Jeremy can't make it, but we've had it set, we're still going to run it, and it's okay if they miss that one session as an example. Stuff like that can happen.
Same here. So I want to and I want to run both one shots, but I also want to run mini campaigns, like 3, maybe 5 sessions.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I think that will be good for online, one shots for conventions, and then short campaigns, 3 to 1 shots to up to like 5 sessions, maybe 10 the longest for online games. That's what that's my goal in the future to have, because I want not have people sign up for forever, so to speak. But I also want to play more often, and I want to be better at doing it, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here's a question for you for Howard Curry. It's a little off topic, but that's okay. What is the most important part of creating characters for you?
Oh boy. Okay. I have a saying that I'm sure the people on my Discord are tired of, and that saying is it depends.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Because here's the thing. If I'm writing for Hollywood, every character is of three sorts. The stars that
Wow.
you want to spend time with.
Thank you.
So they got to be good company. You want to hang out with them. Then the movers, the plot movers, they exist to do something in a plot, like
Thank you.
set off the doomsday bomb or whatever. And then there's the supporting cast, and by that I mean uh, go back to the days of the American television sitcom and things like MASH. It was hanging out with friends, but you
Yeah.
needed the supporting cast, the Sidney Rumpelskis, the shrink, the Colonel Flagg, who was
Colonel Flag,
paranoid,
the
you know,
CIA guy. Yeah.
yeah. You needed them to rotate in and out. And that's the thing. In every American sitcom, there was this satellite group of characters, and it was the same in an earlier generation when you were telling stories of your small town, whatever the small town was. There was the local cast of characters: the town drunk, the town philanderer, the town priss, the town um, gossip, the guy who spied or gal who spied on everybody with their binoculars and knew who was sleeping with
Yeah.
who in town, and all these things. They would push story plots ahead. So the reason I'm saying it depends is, what am I creating the character for? If I want that character to be a long running stable in my campaign, I want them to be good company. I want to hang out with them. I don't want to spend time with people I don't like. So I want there to be something attractive. That doesn't mean they have to be nice people. They can be out and out villains. Villains are, often more interesting than the good guys. But I need to want to spend time with them for whatever reason. But if I'm writing my plot reasons are, why is this character in the story? And you can do that if you're writing individual scenes of a novel or a short story, and you can do that when you're designing your campaign. In a scene, an encounter, whether it's a scene in a movie where you're all in the same room, or if it's an actual game encounter at the table, what does this character want in this encounter? What's their immediate goals? Do they want to kill this guy and take his treasure? Do they
Yeah.
want to find out some secret? What is it they want in this scene? And the same, and therefore, that is what is most important when I'm creating that sort of character. There are, if you remember the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, let's go to the first movie. There is a character in there called the Commodore, the good guy, the ultimate good guy. And for most of the movie, he's there to be the danger or antagonist to every pirate, including, of course, our main characters and the one who's going to turn into a pirate, you know. And then he is the one who has to reveal at the end of the movie, sorry if I'm spoiling it for anybody, hidden depths where he changes his mind about a particular pirate because he almost comes to admire him. And this is a pirate that, for him, it would be very easy to hate because he's just lost his woman to this pirate.
Hmm.
And yet, it's like, you know, I almost admire this guy, so I'm gonna give him a head start, sort of thing, you know. So there's that. What are you using the character for? That then becomes important. But if I'm creating a fictional character that I want to spend more time with, I want to tell stories about for years, then what is it that attracts me to the character? Why do I want to spend time with them?
Mhm.
Because that will be the most important thing. Like, you know, I I work in public service. I have to spend time with lots of people I don't like every day because they're members of the public and they walk in and I'm there to serve them. so you learn to get along. Yeah, that's what we call society. But
Yeah.
who would you like to hang out with? And there are endless stories, and there's TV series. There's a TV series going right now called Cards on the Table, where Stanley Tucci has dinner with 3 other people, and they just talk about things. And so, of course, you get to choose the people you'd like to have dinner with and talk about things. That's it. So that's the answer to what are you creating the characters for? What do you need them for? Because that will give you the answer to my answer to that question. I want every character to be memorable. I want every character to be realistic, to be doing things for good reasons to them. You may disagree with their reasons, but for them, they're darn good reasons for what they're doing. And I want them to be interesting. I do not want them to be the sort of people who hide from adventure in the mailroom for the rest of their lives, because I can meet those people for real every day. But yeah, it's a very long-winded it depends answer, but this is why there are different reasons for creating characters, and depending on what your reason is, the nature of the character you create will change.
Makes sense.
And I've got to shut up or I'll go on all night about this.
No, it's good.
I agree. And I want to add one other thing that you can use as a plot device as a DM. You can build in that character connection. It could be related to, meaning the classic is like, oh, they have parents or some relative or whatever, or something happened that can then be revealed much later, so to speak. Or you can also, and if you really want to be really sneaky as a DM, during the campaign, you can look for these things and then you can write it in. And if a player like, damn, am I related? And then you can like, yes. And then you have to quickly determine or determine, are there any hindrances or do I have any plot pitfalls here? Or can I make that happen? And then the player will be like, awesome, you thought about that like when back in whatever. And so, you can, exactly. So the players might give you cool ideas that you don't take them immediately, but dwell on them for a week and then decide, yeah, that's a good idea, and then run with it. But don't tell the player right away, then introduce it 5 sessions later. They figure out, oh, it is really true, so to speak. And then it becomes really, really cool, so to speak. So, yeah.
Or in my case, you have, oh my God, I'm related to Fritz. No.
Yeah.
You know, so there you go.
Exactly. Yeah. It could be negative. It could be related to the villain or something, like in Star Wars, like, oh, I'm your dad, Luke, so to speak.
Oh, and
I'm your father. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Luke, I am your father. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we had a hilarious one like that in the Realms campaign, where one of the important NPCs, who is a local ruler, goes, "Oh, are you my long lost son?"
Oh boy.
And the player character drops their trousers and says, "No, I'm your long lost daughter. See?"
There you go. Awesome.
And the like what? and of course the whole point was this was a king who cared about his inheritance, and because it was primogeniture in that particular kingdom, that meant he cared about his sons. He almost forgot how many daughters he'd sired because they just got sent off to the nursery. They didn't matter to him. And of course, this character had felt that, Dad doesn't give 2 hoots about me because I happen to have been born without a penis. I'm a girl, so he doesn't care.
So it's just like that movie Dragon Slayer, where she pretended to be a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it can also be fun because to be the king's illegitimate child can be interesting because it can give you opportunities, but it can also mean that you're villains because your non-legitimate siblings might see you as a potential threat or whatever. So that evil crown prince might start going after you.
What happens? What happens if somebody offs the monarch? Suddenly, you're a pawn that could be useful. So they're running around grabbing all the bastard children.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh gosh, you just
because you hike your currency, your relations.
Bingo.
But
the Fifth Musketeer movie with the twins.
Exactly.
Kings. That reminds me exactly of that.
Yep.
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 Mm-hmm.
And to this day, the heir in royalty, having an heir is always very important. Who's related to who, and all that. It can never be overstated how important that is.
We got a lot of stuff going on in chat that I've been keeping up on. So,
Oh,
Now,
good.
it is a mistaken style. Let me just throw this in
please.
to always have it be royalty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
You know,
Yep.
everybody, you know,
100%.
oh, when I was reincarnated and I was always an Egyptian princess. I was never the slave girl, you know,
Right.
because it's more glamorous to have the royalty. But isn't it cool if you do people from all walks of life, because then
Hmm.
people can get those nasty surprises
Yep.
because they've been overlooking the low lives, except they're not the low lives, you
We
And
know.
they might also be that heroic leader of the slave rebellion 500 years ago that happens to be your relative or whatever, or 50 years ago to be more kind of more realistic in importance. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and Ergay did that in Tintin years
Hmm.
ago with
Yeah.
Red Rackham's treasure. You know, where they're
Yep.
all claiming to
Hmm.
be a part of the treasure because they're related to Red Rackham, and he says, you know, well, I'm related to Sir Francis Haddock, who killed Red Rackham in single combat, and right now my blood is beginning to. And he goes for them, and they all turn
Yeah.
and run. So
Hmm.
you can pull that card too.
Yep.
That's what I love about this game so much. Just got to think of a creative idea
Oh yeah,
and
and,
run
and
with it.
it's a hobby that you can.
Yep.
It has so many dimensions, and you can do so much with it.
Yep.
I mean, some of us have done some really nutty, crazy things, but like it brings out some long-term memories, and that's the. You gonna write them up, Sam? Oh my God! Well, hey, if you write something up, I'll take a look at it, like always. So,
Uh
yeah,
oh.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
being facetious because, of course, there's no about it. It's great when that
yeah,
happens.
yeah, exactly. But it's cool. All right. So, any other questions here as we go into the last 10 minutes? Um, you know, it's just one of those where we got two $25 gift certificates to Troller Games tonight, everyone. Very nice, GCs tonight. So, and we had 15s from Frog God. We'll have probably 15s again tomorrow, next Saturday for Frog God. So, what's up, Walt? So, yeah. So for me, like Thursday nights, Ed, I went a different direction. I'm letting him play like the ultra high level characters. Alan's got the highest level character brought up from first level in my campaign. 17th level Halfling Thief he's playing, and he hadn't played him in years. So, and
Nice.
if it wasn't for a quirk of fate with undos with specials, I hit him in the head with and I think it was an arrow or something, and a critical hit would killed him outright. But yeah, that character. So, but it's good to get back to like some of the high level playing, which we're doing right now. We're messing around with that, and but that's
Now I'm going to channel my kindergarten teacher.
yes.
Now, Jay, it's not always about maiming your friends.
It was just a luck. When you run a published super high level character,
Yeah,
adventure, it normally is because they're so tough to write.
you're right.
You know, they
Yeah,
are. I
yeah,
mean, it's just like I
yeah.
look at this thing, I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I had to cut out like 2/3 of it. It's like 200 trolls on the first level. Come on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
ridiculous. You know, so like, it's just like, hey, Baker, it's just sometimes you got to like take something, you got to really cut all the crap out, you know, and that's what I've been doing. But when when a high level adventuring group goes up against another high level adventuring group, kind of like what you found out at GaryCon, it's anything bad. A lot of bad things can happen. I
Hmm.
know, for example, Tony is going live now. That's why she's lurking. But her character would have died if it wasn't for
Yeah,
Eric Menge's character taking the blow
yeah,
for it. And that's a
yeah,
great thing. What about
yeah. That
maiming your
would.
fiance's character? That's funny. Oh well, that's okay. Maiming, like you did that in an adventure recently, Jeremy. That's awesome. Yeah. Tony's got enough house problems around. She doesn't need any more trouble there, Jeremy. So she's always talking about something breaking. Oh man, yeah, I know I'm being mean. It's funny though. So, what other questions we got? Anything else coming up here? So, Ed, in a closing statement on this, then, yeah, I know. He's like, tell me about it. You're Mr. Handyman there. Um, Give us a closing statement on something that like they could take back and go, that's a good idea. How's that?
Ooh,
You gave me a
okay,
really good idea for running a game with you guys, so I'm gonna do it that way. Definitely. Good one
cool.
upcoming. Yep, yep.
Okay, so it is always more fun when the players have a council of war in character, not as themselves, as their characters. And they sit down and discuss, because if they do it in character, then you've got the characters' motives, not the players. They can talk amongst themselves away from the gaming table about what they really want and what they want to try and push the DM into doing because of the style of play or the thing they want to do, take down Vecna or whatever it is. But when you're at the game table, do it in character, because in the same way that years and years ago, because I'm old, folks, I'm older than dirt. When we used to like SWAT for exams, my father used to say, "Son, all you have to do is make notes, write cheat sheets. You're not going to take them into the exam for you, but I want you to have them in the room. Teach an imaginary class the topic. And if you can teach it, then you understand it. And that will serve you in good stead when you're sitting there in the examination hall and everybody else is freaking because you've done your thing and you know the topic." Same thing. Let your players role play their choosing their council of war, where they're going to go, what they're going to do next in character, because by the end of it, they will understand what their character's motives are better than when they started, because they will have had to articulate it to everybody. So they will, and not least of all themselves. So they will get it. They will now understand what it is they want to do in the world. And this is like, they will also feel like they are the adventurers. They are affecting the world.
Yep.
They are imposing their will on the world, not having some dolt across the gaming table who bought a module inflicted on them. Um, and then again, they will stop thinking of the Dungeon Master as an adversary. The Dungeon Master is the person who's helping them to tell their story, slay their dragons, do what they want to do in the world. And the moment they feel like they can do what they want to do in the world, and they get the feeling they really can in this setting, then you've won, because they will want to be there every play session, no matter what, to get closer to their goal, because it's their goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not artificial, it's theirs. You gave it to them, and they really want to do it. And they have, because they did it in character, they have taken it over, and it's now their goal, not yours. They feel like
It's
it's
great
theirs.
advice. I really appreciate it. How about you, Anna? What would you say in closing?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great idea, and that's if you can, meaning the player should want to take part command of part of the story, so to speak, and also build up to those moments where the players can take the story and run with it, and then you can thwart a way for a villain to come back and steal back the story. So long term, a campaign can be about the push and pull, so to speak. The players are pulling the story forward, and occasionally you bash them hard and you take back control, and the players have to struggle and run or whatever, and then they feel like, oh, now we're back in the game again. And it's like a movie. You need to make it go back and forth, and that should happen if you can somehow, together with the players, without planning it, make it happen naturally. Then I think you have a good campaign, so to speak, where you can make interesting plot twists and stuff that kind of comes not pre-planned, but they come from cool gameplay, and the way the dice fall. The players manage to kill one of the minor foes of villains or henchmen of the major villain. So the major villain gets his attention becomes laser focused early on, and then they get big struggles when the master villain's trying to vanquish the party early, but the party managed to get escape and then get to do it or something. So you can, if you can play with stuff like that more dynamically, I think you can build some really cool stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic. And for me, it's just everyone's got their own style, and you got your own. However you play, there's no right or wrong way to play, but it's good to listen to other people.
Yep.
Yep.
Like I learned something tonight from Ed, and I'm gonna utilize it.
Uh-oh.
I did. No, and it's cool. For me, it's to get out of that. I have so many of these special groups that aren't my friends that are not here in person. That we may not have to get together for a couple months. I don't want to leave something hanging for 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is. Got it tied up. But when in one of these sessions where you're deciding what to do, that's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I can make that work. Definitely. So, Ed, what's going on, man? Anything you want to shout out that you're doing?
Okay. What can I talk about? I am continually writing Vikings. I am writing Vikings till the end of time. You understand this.
Oh yeah.
So I'm doing that for Fate of the Norns. I just finished I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about this, but Lynn Vander Studios has cool new adventures that are tied to dice sets, and I just turned in one
Oh,
about
cool.
3 hours before this that we started here. And everything else is like Thunderbirds Are Go. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I'm writing. The Hollywood stuff I can't talk about. That's NDA'd. But suffice it to say that 2 nights ago, Friday night, I went to bed at 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh, because you was just so cranked.
Yeah, I would know. I was writing.
Right.
I was trying to get stuff done. It was back to the old TSR days of, can you do a product in a couple of hours? Because we desperately need it. And sometimes Hollywood gets like that.
Oh
And
man,
I am too old to pull all-nighters, as I discovered the hard way.
it's
And
tough.
boy, was I dragging. When you're a teenager, you can do that. When you're my age, your body does not bounce back, and it says, "You idiot." And
Mhm.
it was right. But I had that lovely feeling of, no, I can't stop working on this. This is going fine. I love this. This is really cool. I got to keep going. And then
Yep.
do I have to go to work at my day job early in the no, I don't. Good. So I can work through the night. And the problem is you have to know when to stop, because you have to know when the quality is suffering so much because you're just
Yeah.
too tired.
Mhm.
So Ed, that's one of the reasons why I only invited you for a part of the 24-hour stream.
Yeah, because you'd see me sleeping at the keyboard with you.
I may be
Yeah.
sleeping. Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw last year. That was when I
Oh
saw
my
you guys when you've
gosh.
been doing it 18 hours or something. That
Yeah.
was hilarious. That was so much fun.
Yeah. So, well, Ed, thanks for coming. This was really good. Notice we didn't look at barely any references at all in this discussion. It was all a
Yeah.
lot of theoretical. We didn't even, which is cool. It's a little different, which is a lot of fun, talking about that. So, my bye, some of you, yeah, yeah. Hey, I know the feeling, but I get goaded into this, so I'm going to do it. It's not going to be that bad. So, Anna, how about you?
It's not gonna
No,
be that bad.
yeah, I'm also too old to run uh, all-nighters, so to speak. But no, I had a computer scare the yesterday. My CPU, my main computer, the CPU, the temperature went off the chart, so the CPU cooler had gone off the rails. So I had to drive over to Orange County and get one today. So and then so I spent basically most part of the weekend fixing my computer, but it's up and running again. Everything is, yeah, it's still good. It's below 45 degrees Celsius even after a day of running, and it's like 30 degrees Celsius in the office, so it's not bad. So I'm back up and running again. So there will be some more hawktails and some more shield and stuff and so on during the week here. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, so please note that thank you, Savage. I'm linking this again. Here is the magical item compendium. It went silver in only a couple hours, so which is really cool. There we go, and that's
Ooh.
it. It's Rick Mower Duke Carthon has done it. We've gone over it a little bit, and it is hey Fosco, it is a really great thing. It's all 5e. But anything you can think of is in there, and it is on Drive to RPG. It's pay what you want, so there you go. It's really worthwhile, and the link is in chat. Alrighty, so tomorrow night at 9, 2 brand new players to my campaign, and they've never played old school 1e 2e. They're 5e players, so I got Rogue Chick and Bella's Deadly, and they're going to jump into the game with Coco Bunny and Star on Saturday. So we're going to do session 0 them and get them up and running. If you saw the adventure yesterday morning at the very end, they fought a priest of Washri, but there was this woman, the mistress. I always like using that name, and all the men had a dream that a snake crawled into their sleeping bag with them. It's like, I'm going to take care of you now. And when the group woke up, all the men were gone. So that's the whole thing. Yes.
It's not that easy, ladies.
So well, maybe D&D it is.
Speaking of snakes, me and Chico, we saw a rattlesnake at the dog park yesterday.
Oh so, man, stay away from that.
Oh okay. Yeah, we were like 10 feet away.
So what? You didn't harvest it? Yeah. I have recipes.
Oh no, we didn't. No, yeah. I don't think that's even legal. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
No Legends of Lore.
No killing it.
No Legends of Lore Wednesday. I got something that I won't be home till like 10 o'clock on Wednesday. So, but Thursday night we continue this super ridiculous high level adventure that I'm talking about, Lidless Shabbath. So we'll continue that Thursday with my guys, and then Saturday starting at 11, and this is it. It's called Rescue from the Mistress, because all those guys, all the characters, like I said, you gotta trust me. Korg's character, Tim's character, a couple NPCs, they're all missing. So Coco's character and Star are going to have to go back to Altamira and try and assemble a new group. And that's where the new players come in. To go back out and rescue all these missing people from their adventure, from the group.
Well, that means the men have to behave, because otherwise, why would they want to go and rescue them?
Well, if it's a mistress from the Tickling Feather, it's one thing, Ed. But it's probably not, so, right?
Yes. Right. Got it. Yeah, so, understood.
Yeah. What if Fritz didn't want to be rescued from the mistress? Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah. Fritz has probably learned his lesson with it. He's going to have stuff falling off of him from the fungal queen. So, and so that's going to be a fun one. This is 11 o'clock with 2 brand new players of the campaign. And Star's only played 3 sessions, so it's going to be a really fun game Saturday. And then Sunday night, I'm going to have Ron for Page back on, and it's what's new for Page 2026. So Chuck at minimum is going to be on from Troller Games. Hopefully, Steve Chenault will be on, and 2 new added VIP guests to Page. Official Darling and Bones will be on too. Talk about their excitement for doing this. The first time they've ever been VIP'd at a con. So this will be my 3rd time at Page, all 3 years. So we'll talk about that, and that'll be next week. And then way down July 5th. Here's the core group for it's where I'm running Baltron's Beacon. It's going to be a damage inflicted from the adventure, Ed, on a 24-hour stream. But I love that module. So the core group of 5, and I'm going to have 1 to 2 people rolling in every, with their characters. So I got Mark and Rachel from Marquee in the morning at 10. I got Darling and Ed at 6 p.m. with Ravalantar and Rosie going in. So we're going to have characters going in and out to make it a little more fun on this long 24-hour campaign, this adventure. So that'll be a blast.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also, hopefully I'll get it. I've requested it for the Twitch front page.
All right. Well, I love getting back in the saddle. That sounds wrong, but I don't mean it in that way. With Darling. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, Darling and you will be the add-ins at 6 p.m. And we go till it's done. So I don't know like where we're going to be in the adventure either. That's the weird thing. You know what I mean? I just don't know. I'm trying to project it out, but you know, we're going to run till it's over. It may be 18 hours, it may be 20, it may be 24, it may be 26. I just don't know. You know, running this how long it's going to be. So that's the fun part of it. But I know you got 6 to 10 p.m. EDT, and then you can bolt. You know what I mean? You don't have to be on till 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So you know, yeah.
Well, depending on whether I have to work the next morning, I may just stick around.
On a Sunday? You got to work Sunday, July 6th?
No. Hopefully the library will be closed Sundays for summer by then.
Awesome.
They're supposed to be.
Well, then there that goes.
There.
So awesome. Very cool. All right, let's do the giveaways. 2 special $25 gift certificates from Troller Games, everyone. Yep. All right, let's call. Exclamation drawing. I'm going to give them away. And then we're going to rate into Darling, of course, because I think they have a finale going on. I think it's Cyberpunk. Are they doing Cyberpunk over there? I think it's a finale. All right, let me see here. Here we go. And Ed, thank you. It was a great discussion.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a blast.
My pleasure. I could sit and chat with you guys every night, except I wouldn't get any writing.
Right, exactly.
No, that's the thing. We need to get other stuff done. So
yes, and so we're on pace for hopefully our Luke project part 1 will be done for GameholeCon.
We hope so.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hager and Samwise, I'll get them out to you tonight via Discord.
Awesome.
Alrighty, there you go. And so let's rate in with over 100 going into Darling. That would be awesome. So Ed, we'll see you soon with less than a month, and Aaron, I'll see you shortly too. Let me get this thing sent over there real quick here, and then I'll go over one more thing with you, Ed. Community. Let's see, here we go. Manager. Raid. Gotta raid it up. Raid channel.
Raid.
I know it's so many buttons.
Yeah, careful. It's Darling. Keep your fingers on the buttons.
92. That's good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night. Yeah. All right. Make sure that went.
Yep.
Alrighty.